Engagement. We throw that term around quite a bit. Community engagement, patron engagement, email engagement. And lately I've been thinking, what on God's green earth does that actually mean? Then, as if she was reading my mind, one of my favorite marketing experts sent out a newsletter with some details on how to really talk about and think about engagement. I'm going to share that resource with you in this episode of the Library Marketing Show. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Angela Hursh. I'm the person behind the blog, superlibrarymarketing.com. You can head there, look for the Library Marketing Show tab, and you can suggest a topic for a future episode of this show, or nominate your library or another for Kudos. We're going to give away Kudos in a few moments. You might also want to click on the upcoming appearances tab, because we may be able to see each other in person. I've got lots of training and conference events coming up and always want to meet my viewers. So if you see that, if you see someplace you're going on that list, please come up to me and say, hello, I'd love to see your faces. Okay. I subscribe to Ann Handley's bi-weekly newsletter, Total Anarchy. And you've heard me talk about her before. I rave about her. She's incredible. She's thoughtful. She's got some really great books out that will completely transform the way you write. And like I said, as if she was reading my mind, a couple of weeks ago in her newsletter, she shared a report put together by a company called Braze. They asked 1,500 VIP marketers how they do customer engagement. I downloaded the report. I'll share the link with you down in the show description if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the comments if you're watching on LinkedIn. I'll also share a link to the newsletter where Ann writes about this, because she does a really great job of distilling what this report says. It's a pretty long report, many, many pages, but there's a lot of really awesome stuff in there. And so I encourage you to download it. So one thing that Ann pulled out and I thought was really interesting, brands, and we're talking about for-profit brands. So these are not libraries, but as I say, we can always learn things from what people in the for-profit world are doing. So brands are spending more money on retaining customers than on getting new customers. That is incredibly important, and that is what libraries should be doing. We spend a lot of energy trying to sign people up to get a library card. And I'm not saying that's not a worthy goal, but you have a huge base of card holders who could be using your library more frequently than they are. And my guess is, if you look through your data, many of them have not used their library card in quite a while, maybe before the pandemic. I would love to see libraries spend more time getting those people engaged and using the library more, maybe just as much time as they spend getting people to sign up for a library card. But I want you to know brands are having the same struggle, and that's how they're going about it. And I think it's super smart. The second thing Ann noticed is that this report shows that brands have lots of data, but they are having a hard time figuring out how to manage it and what to do with it. And I felt that in my soul. As you know, my job is actually for a profit company, Novelist, but I work with libraries, and we talk oftentimes about looking at our promotional data and what do we do with it. And honestly, even the other pieces of data that libraries gather, like visits and program attendance and database use. We have a lot of data. It's difficult to manage because it's coming in from 30,000 places, and many of us don't really know what to do with it. Brands are having that problems too. There's some insights in the report that may help you with that if that's something that you feel in your soul too. Also, the third thing that I really wanted to point out that Ann noticed is that people get their information from brands and from libraries on more than one channel. So we often talk about marketing, and a lot of times we have kind of a little formula in our head when we promote something. We might make a sign, we might make one social media post on Facebook, we may put it in a newsletter that we send out to a certain audience of cardholders. That might not be enough. People are getting information from lots of channels, and I've talked to you about the marketing rule of 7, which means you have to, on average, tell somebody something 7 times to get them to act on it. This report seems to confirm that very well. And I want you to think about marketing strategically, but remembering all of your channels and the fact that your audience may be getting information from you on all channels. I 100% would never be able to cover this entire report or all of the takeaways that Anne has. So I'm going to share those links for you. Please download the report. And I'm curious to know what you think about it. Read through it and tell me. And let's start a conversation down in the comments. What do you think are the big issues that we're facing when it comes to engagement? Love to hear about it. All right, let's talk about kudos for this episode. And kudos goes to the Southern Adirondack Library System. A couple of weeks ago on Super Library Marketing, we did a profile of the person who runs their social media. And in doing research on that, I found out that the system in itself is working with 2 regional food distribution networks to reduce food waste by rescuing it and sharing it in their libraries, especially in places that are food deserts. They have a lot of rural libraries in the system, and they do a great job of promoting it. And I thought this program was amazing. And so I wanted to give kudos to Southern Adirondack Library System. I'm going to put a link down in the show description on YouTube or in the comments on LinkedIn so you can read about it and see how they're promoting it. Great job, Southern Adirondack. All right, that's it for this episode, but my channel has lots and lots of advice for library marketing. If you want to keep learning and keep talking, click on the video and I'll see you there.